Welcome to Bite Size Marketing Hacks. Today, we're going to talk about some issues, some things that are going on right now in our world that we believe that you can effectively navigate through in a way that helps empower, equip your community to really thrive in this time. After the looting and riots, we've seen volunteers help businesses clean up, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. What are ways you can help clean up sort of the mess that's going on? Let's do this. Welcome to the show.
Hey guys, welcome to Bite Size Marketing Hacks. My name is Mark,
My name's Rashawn.
and it's good to be with you. It's hard to know how to do media like this right now. There's a lot
Yeah,
going on, everything is emotionally charged. And so, Rashawn, you wanted to jump in today on this topic,
yeah.
and I just want to listen and follow you. So, share with us.
Awesome. So thanks, Mark. I really appreciate you. It's just been so much going on, guys. 2020, I thought was going to be the year of clarity and vision, but we've had many collisions. One, Kobe Bryant passed away. I love Kobe Bryant so much, and Gigi, right? That came out of nowhere. No one's seen that coming. Number two, we had COVID-19. That came and swept the world and impacted the world in a negative way, which I really see some, positive things in it, but it was very negative from the standpoint, what was it? Hundreds of thousands lost their lives. And then fast forward here in America, the death of George Floyd sort of sparked this crazy, crazy, flame of anger in across the United States and frustration. And I myself have been challenged this past week, just dealing with that personally on so many different levels. And I know me and Mark was just talking about how we are both trying to walk through this sort of disgraceful time by leaning on the grace of God. We're believers, and we truly believe this is going to work together for the good. And I really want to talk into this, though. In the middle of conflict, how do we thrive as business leaders? How do we thrive as people who are looking to impact our communities in the middle of conflict? We do that by coming together and unifying and not dividing. And I want to talk, what are some practical ways? Me and Mark want to talk about what are some practical ways that we can engage our community in the middle of this, again, crisis that led to conflict. Um, I would say first and foremost, go and acknowledge, one, that your city is not perfect, and there's many things that you can go, sort of, support and help and fix around your city. Go clean up the mess, guys. I don't know what you're going through or what season you are in specifically, but I'm telling you, going to be in a helping hand can change everything. You got any thoughts on that, Mark? Because there's many businesses that have been affected here in Oklahoma City, and I know for me personally, what it looked like for us is just going out and talking, starting conversations. Because what I've noticed and sort of learned over the past year, not a lot can change just by posting digitally online. Even though we devote our lives to training and equipping and creating and doing all these amazing things, but true change happens in conversations, discussions around the table, and that's what for me personally, it looked like this past week, trying to get out and start conversations. What did that look like for you, Mark, as you process through all this craziness, bro?
Dude, I'm at a total loss right now.
Mm,
I think even as we were jumping onto this podcast episode, just to get transparent with you guys, I was like, dude, you got to talk. I'm just gonna listen and follow
yeah,
along here because I feel like that's been my posture is just listening. I don't pretend to understand what's going
yeah,
on or all of what's around it or anything. So.
yeah.
You
So,
mentioned the just devastation in our cities. Oklahoma City is not nearly as bad as other places, just in
yeah.
terms of, I mean, it's bad, but in terms of just the damage done to the city, businesses, and structure. But there's still, there's like a nonprofit, Dress for Success, a few blocks south
Oh,
of where
yeah.
my wife and I live that just got gutted and destroyed, lit on fire,
Oh,
destroyed everything. And so, yeah, this just feels like I don't know what to feel.
Yeah,
But I agree. Yeah, just leaning in and listening and being a part of helping clean that
true.
up.
And you know what? And I love that, Mark, that you just acknowledge, hey, dude, I don't know what, sort of to understand and, what, how to see this right now. And I'm completely, to be completely honest, I'm with you right in that circle. But like, it's crazy. It just kills me. And what fills my heart with hope is just seeing how volunteers have stepped up, though. I've even heard, my brother knows someone personally who are his wife who went over to Minneapolis to go help some of that craziness, help volunteer and clean up Minneapolis. And that right there alone makes my heart sing, that there's people that literally will be, use their resources to go help some of those small businesses with limited resources, fix up, clean up, and just even have conversations. So that's really helpful, bro. That I think personally, you know, everyone's been hit hard by this, and on some level, maybe it's in a very negative way, maybe it's in a very positive way, but everyone's been hit by it to some degree. So with that being said, I would just encourage you, just some practical things to leave this episode with is remember that a helping hand is always needed, and just a heart that to really hear and listen to people who feel they're not being heard. Love is so much greater than our biases, the things we struggle with, the darkness from within us. And I want to tell you, there's no greater thing than love. Love is not self-seeking, but it seeks to help the other person across from you. So if there's a way you can just serve people and love people today, go do it. And that's what I would say to anyone out there listening. Find ways to really engage your community, and voice, voice those, things that you're struggling with someone who has ear to hear you. And yeah, process. Let's do this together, though. We're so far greater together. And remember, there's people that are hurting out there. So just be sensitive, but also, yeah, yeah. Just that's all I really have to say, Mark. With all this stuff going on, it's just a ton. I'm processing still.
Is there anybody, Rashawn, like locally? I know we may have people listening beyond locally OKC, but
Yeah.
anybody locally that you're listening to right now, or you're looking to?
Yeah, so there's several leaders, really outside of the local context, though, that I've been communicating with. In one, his name's Remy Adeleke, and then there's another guy that has really been giving me great perspective on, which I won't say his name because he's not someone you can just Google, but he's been like speaking into my life more as a mentor, been a young, black man in the ministry and sort of how to balance this stuff. He's been, yeah, helping me process through it. But needless to say, yes, there's been great conversations around this sort of the white privilege thing, quote unquote. And then, at the end of the day, having this heart that wants to see progress, in not just the the white community, but in the black community, because we have our faults and our failures. We have, you know, people who are struggling with racism on our end too. And I've been dealing with a lot of people, sort of talking down on me, slandering me because they're like, whether, choose a side type thing. But at the end of the day, I'm a firm believer in that the pigment of my skin doesn't, necessarily define who I am. Christ, my identity comes from Christ and that him alone. And I've been made in the image of God. Therefore, God said I was worth it when he made me. So at the end of the day, I'm just trying to stand on these truths that I believe in personally. But at the end of the day, there's just a lot of evil in this world. There's a lot of hate. And um, whether or not we want to believe it or not, we've all experienced it, but a lot of times we don't want to believe it, that we have to look outside this world for our hope. So it's been helping me a ton. It reminds me why I have my faith where I have it. So I'm so grateful, man, for just this time to talk. Now everything's failing around us this year. And I'm so glad when we don't got 2020 vision, God has 2020 vision. And I'm speaking on my faith more than anything right now. So
Amen.
awesome. Well, this has been a great episode. I know it's been sort of feels like a downer. It's been a lot of celebrations going on in the business world, but this is a time for us to really, sort of get off our high horse a little bit and really have compassion for the small businesses that suffered this past week. How can we hear them? How can we hear, the African American community? How can we hear the white community? How can we bring together, even the law enforcement and everyone? How can we just come together instead of divide, live in peace with one another? And that's what we're called to do, man. So at the end of the day, yeah, let's just figure and process this together as a family. We're walking through this together, guys. And we're so glad you're listening in. So if this is your first time viewing in, you heard this from a friend and you got questions about anything I said, reach out to me, reach out to us. And we'd love to talk to you and process with you through this. But at the end of the day, I say it's a core problem. It's a core problem. It's a sin problem. So that's what I say.
Hey, what's up, guys? Some of us are in a market niche where we're wondering if we're going to make it. We're wondering if we're going to survive this uncertain time and the pandemic and all these different things. But, in the midst of this, and this always happens when there are crises, there are some sectors and specific markets that are actually growing right now. Yeah. And it can be helpful. There's a lot we can learn when we see what's actually working, what's getting traction, what's even growing in the midst of times of uncertainty. That can help us to think about with our own business, do we need to shift or to diversify our products? All of that can help us in thinking through our own business. So we're going to talk about that today. What are some examples of what's working in the midst of this uncertain time, and how can that help you?